Hi guys, and welcome to my Banlist predictions for the March 2024 format. We're long past due time for a ban list, and I do know there's some naysayers who think, oh my god, it's so doomed, Fire King meta is terrible. It's not completely terrible. I personally don't like it that much because I am a Vanquishal player, but it is playable within it. So without further ado, let's get into my ban list predictions. First with the unlimbs. Now personally, this is really hit or miss. I'll go through the logic behind each of these very quickly. Pancratops, Teratops, let's be honest, these could go to 3 tomorrow and it wouldn't really matter. While Pancratops at 3 is kind of like good, but there is Fenrir. I don't think Fenrir is getting hit either because it's also not very good this format. Pancratops is cool, but like I think probably Pancratops might go limited. Like this is a very indecisive pick because Pancratops is just like not good this format. Astrogram Sorcerer, I'm gonna be frank. I don't think pendulums are doing much of anything, so just give this to them. If you're not gonna give Electromite, just give this. Lunar Light Tiger, that deck is a combo fest deck. You could just hand trap it. Lunar Light Tiger is good, don't get me wrong, but Lunar Lights aren't gonna do too much if this comes to 3. Change of Heart, Snatch Steal, Mind Control went to 3. These are pretty annoying, but I think Yu-Gi-Oh likes good board breakers. It will also just be like an unplayable format, so these are fine. Engage will probably go to 3 because of the new Sky Striker support coming out. However, I do not believe, I was talking to a friend about this, I don't think Hornet drones can ever come off to 3. Hornet drones is way too good of a card, so I think this will go to 3 personally. And don't get me wrong, Engage is also still busted. This should be at 1, but I think 3 would be really fun. Sacred Tree, this is a personal pick. I think Naturia just got like gutted for no reason. I did play Naturia Runic. Check out my friend's Hugh Trans channel, but I don't think Sacred Tree should be at 1. Please bring this back to 3. I want to play this deck so bad. Alright, next we're gonna go to our semi-limits. Now these are a bit like also kind of controversial. With Kelbeck and Agito banned, I don't think Mudora or Keldo at 1 is really like good. These could go to 3. I'm saying 2 to be safe. Like Keldo is definitely better, but I think Mudora really doesn't do too much. It's a shuffle 3, and the grave decks that are good this format are just way too good. I think personally it'd be better to have these at 3 so at least other decks can try to punish that fact. So also like these, like the effects of this, like discard one other Earth Fairy monster, special summon this card from the Banana Exchange or one card that mentions it. Like you're only adding Mudora. Like that's 2 free bodies at most. And the shuffle effect. So I don't think it's that good. Now Wanted, personally, I don't think they're gonna hit this card to 1. I know this has to be hit. Like something in Fire King will be hit, and I'll explain that more in the video. But I think Wanted to see a semi-limit is probably more like realistic. But they're not going to ban the original Sinful Spoils because then the deck won't be played at all. They're also not going to ban like Poplar because it literally just came out. So I think Seeker Sinful Spoils is the most realistic one. It only neuters like the consistency of the deck a little bit, but even if they did hit this, the Dia Bellstar Witch will probably just be played at a higher ratio count. So but the Dia Bellstar Witch at least is counterable, right? So this is definitely the better hit in my personal opinion. Okay, next to limited. Now these are controversial. First things first, I am also a supporter of the fact that Masterpiece can't come off the ban list. Now don't get me wrong, I played during Masterpiece format, and I can say personally that it was not that fun. However, I don't think Masterpiece is, as a boss monster is that ridiculous compared to other things in the format. Now getting to this, Red Reboot is either at 1 or 3. I think this is like, I think trap decks historically are unfun. Now don't get me wrong, Labyrinth players aren't exactly like too like busted where you're like, man, I can't play into this. But I also don't believe that like Red Reboot should be banned. Like the card is good, right? But personally, I just have a soft spot for it. I also love playing it like back in the day. Next, let's get to actually some of the more like important picks. So we'll just disregard these really too. Kieran should be at 1. I think Kieran, although if it does go to 1, Pure Snake Eyes will be the better variant. I don't think it's healthy to have Kieran at 3 copies. Now, my friend Derek, in his video, did say he sides out 1, going second. But going first, this card at 3 is super annoying because that stops an Imperm, it stops a Veiler. And it just does way too much for the deck. right? You're not going to hit Ponix, Garunix, or any of those cards because you already played them at 1. So Kieran is the only realistic hit to hit in that strategy. Bonfire is way too good of a card. Um, it kind of operates like reinforcements of the army, where when reinforcements of the army has 3, it was ridiculous, which is why they had to come down to 1. And I think Bonfire eventually in the future will hit limited status, regardless of like how like we want to have it now. However, Bonfire won't be limited this quickly. This is just kind of like a future thing that'll probably happen. Next, Branded Fusion. I do know there's some people who think Branded Fusion at 1 is even better than Branded Fusion at 3. I think that's kind of delusional, first of all, but I also don't believe that Branded Fusion is like, I don't think the Branded deck should like go away unhit on every list. They do need a hit, but Branded Fusion is like the only realistic hit in the deck. They can search it pretty easy, like it's not really that annoying, just play more Alubers. Finally, into the extra, sorry, there should also be Zodiac Barrage here. So Zodiac Barrage, Trident, they're not doing anything. Personally, I would like Trident to come back so I could play it in my Vanquish Roll deck. But Zodiacs, even in Tri Brigade, they're not gonna do like that much, unfortunately, because well, the current format is just very toxic for like any deck that like isn't goddamn Voiceless Voice or Fire King. And like we kind of need a card like Trident that like is just much more ubiquitous for the format. Meow Meow Moo is a personal favorite of mine. I don't think Meow Meow Moo. No, don't get me wrong. A one card whole starter for the deck in representing a monster is ridiculous. But there is personal justification to it, right? Having it at 1 would be pretty nice. It's not ridiculous having it at 2 where you blow up the board twice. But having it at 1, one card starter, it's not that ridiculous considering how consistent some of these other decks are. And personally, I like it more. And finally, we go on to the banned cards. Okay, I'm just gonna put it out there. Every Flunderies card deserves to be banned. If you play this deck, I don't respect you as a human being. These cards should be banned. They're all ridiculous. They're all broken. They should not be played on both of our turns. I hate this deck. However, personally, Anti-Spell is also a big offender. Anti-Spell is literally Imperial Order. Like, it's like worse Imperial Order, but Imperial Order is still so busted as a card that when you had to have 1, it defined like a format where Sky Striker couldn't play. Anti-Spell should be banned. Doesn't prevent good like play. Summon Limit should also be here, but I also don't think Summon Limit can be played in every deck. Albion the Sanctifier Dragon, I think this card is the one that should be banned instead of Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. People who say Gimmick Puppet Nightmare should be banned, it doesn't make sense. You just summon DD or Throws instead. Sanctifier makes the way to summon Gimmick Puppet way too easy. I'd rather like they have the Gimmick Puppet law. I really don't mind, but make it at least really, really difficult to get to. That's a good justification for having it. Next, Flunderies cards. These should all be banned. They should have never been printed. And yeah, that's my video. I hope the Flunderies cards get banned.